All right, we're going to dispense with that music right now. Scary Alvarez is jumping on for kind of a, hesitate to say an emergency skull session, but this stuff with Xavier Lucas that's happening today ain't good, ain't pretty, not good stuff. So I want to try and very quickly make a little bit of sense of it. And I want to, the first and probably only caveat I'm going to have is that I don't have all the information necessary to know definitively what's going on. So what I'm doing is guessing on some of the stuff based on what's out there, but I think it's pretty clear what's happening, or at least we're in the ballpark. There's a player, for whatever reason, and it's a very, very good player, who wants out of Wisconsin right now through the portal. There is a suitor that's not being kept very secret in the Miami Hurricanes. I don't know what discussions have happened with Miami, when those discussions took place, or what is promised in those discussions. But anyone who thinks there's not been chatter between Miami Hurricanes and their booster and/or their boosters relating to Xavier Lucas transferring there is being an ostrich sticking their head in the sand. It's ridiculous. It's insulting. Please don't insult my intelligence. We know what's going on there. Now, there's also reports out there that Lucas has an NIL deal, a recently signed NIL deal with the Wisconsin Badgers. I don't have that deal in front of me. I can't say that's for sure, but that's the presumption we're going with. For those who do not know, an NIL deal, and there are all kinds of different ones, that is a contract. A contract. Kind of like, it's a service contract. So it's like hiring someone to do something in exchange for something else. So, for example, player A is hired for a season or 2 seasons. You see these deals in the media all the time, and they get a certain amount of money, let's just say $1 million. They sign that contract. That's a legally binding contract. And it's not legally binding only on the school. It's legally binding on the talent, the player, as well. Now, where the trick comes in here is knowing what the obligations are. Okay, I don't know for a player like Xavier Lucas or any other player who does an NIL deal, Billy Edwards Jr., etc. I don't know what the player's obligations are under that deal, but I have a pretty good feeling that being a member of the Wisconsin Badger football team is a big one. So, I don't know whether there are transfer clauses. So there's a lot of unknowns here. And I feel it's very important for me to disclaim this. But we're trying to work with limited information and try and unwind what might be going on here. And that's all it is. It's conjecture, but we're trying. So if a player, let's say a couple weeks after signing that NIL deal to play for a team, decides to play for a different team, you have to look at the contract that the player signed to know what happens next. It's not as simple. I don't care if it's a Xavier Lucas situation or someone else's situation, as a player rushing to social media saying, they won't let me out of this deal. I just want to transfer. I'm not trying to be hard on the kid, but there are 2 sides to every story, and certainly anyone with a brain inside their noggin knows that he's oversimplifying the situation by just saying Wisconsin won't let me transfer. They won't enter my name in the portal. I can, again, I'm trying to speak carefully here. I don't know the facts in the specific situation with Lucas. I wish this kid no ill will. I want him to be happy and have a good life, get the money he deserves for being a football player. None of this is against Xavier Lucas. But I do feel like I'm defending the honor of the Wisconsin football program a little bit here. Because when you have one side saying something and making a social media appeal without filling in all the relevant pieces of information, that isn't fair to the Badgers. Okay? So, all these people, free Xavier Lucas, free Xavier Lucas. Okay, I get it. You're fans of the U. You want a good player to come to your thing. You see a kid, generally speaking, in the history of collegiate sports, it has been the players who have been the ones getting taken advantage of. So it is a normal instinct to rush to judgment, I think, in some ways, to think that the school was taking advantage of the player. They were playing for basically for peanuts for the whole of college football until NIL recently started. That's a fact. I mean, yes, they got scholarships. I understand that. And they got some money under the table at some schools. The U certainly knows stuff about that. Trust me. But, the reality is I like the fact that NIL is happening. I like the fact that a player like Lucas or other people can be paid for their services and for bringing big time money into programs. That is great. I have no issue with that. But it needs to be regulated. I've talked about that previously. It's so uneven where a guy like Phil Knight can just with the stroke of a pen outspend the Wisconsin Badgers by 100 times on transfers up at Oregon. That's not okay. There's a salary cap in many sports, including the NFL and things like that. There needs to be more regulation. But anyway, we're getting a field of this particular issue. And the issue is, if you believe the reports that Xavier Lucas has an NIL deal with Wisconsin, he is under a contract right now with legal obligations that he has to fulfill, as well as legal obligations that the university has to fulfill. There may be a clause that specifically deals with transfers in that NIL deal. I do not know. I don't have it in front of me. But my advice to any Wisconsin fan or anyone else listening to this is, you need to do more than just take the word of what's said in a social media post by the player. Okay. This is a legal situation now with legal obligations and two sides to the story. And at a bare minimum, give the Wisconsin Badgers the benefit of the doubt that there's more to this from a legal perspective than just throwing them under the bus saying, "Look, free Xavier Lucas." Like, he's gone. He's never going to play for the Badgers again. That stuff, we all know that. But it is far more complicated than just simply saying, let him out. Wisconsin's not letting him go. Wisconsin has had, I believe now we're on year 3 of the portal stuff under Fickle. I don't know the exact number. It's got to be over 50 transfers in and out, going both ways. Funny how there's never been an issue like this before, which strongly suggests that there's something specific to this situation that is making it different. So just reserve judgment a little bit on what Wisconsin has or has not done here before rushing to judgment that they're singling this guy out and trying to be mean to him, not let him pursue his career. I don't think that's the case. And I think it's going to come out what's going on. This isn't simply someone being asleep at the wheel at Wisconsin and being petty and being mean and not wanting Xavier Lucas to leave. They already know the score. But Xavier Lucas signed a contract, if you believe reports, with the University of Wisconsin that he is under an obligation to fulfill, as is Wisconsin to him. So let's let the lawyers work this out. We'll figure out what's going on here. But just take a step back and don't make gigantic presumptions that Wisconsin is doing something wrong vis-a-vis Xavier Lucas here, because we simply do not know that. No one has the facts. Some people have the facts, but no one out there on message boards and things like that have the facts. And my goal here isn't to make an example out of Lucas. It's just simply to say, let's take a deep breath and let the facts come out, and we'll see what's actually going on here. That's my take. Anyway, very unsavory, not fun, terrible thing to deal with. But let's talk about it. We did. Scary Alvarez out.